How's it going, everybody? Welcome to 1IQ Sports Talk. Brendon and Sterling coming at you with Week 8 game predictions. Obviously, we don't have the Thursday night game, but we did take a couple of weeks off here just because of crazy busyness. But yes, we are back and able to get things done. But taking a look at our first Sunday game coming up here on this one, where the Miami Dolphins take on the Atlanta Falcons, where the Falcons are not going to have Michael Penix Jr. in this game. And they are also still a minus 7.5 point favorite.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to remember their backup is Kirk Cousins, so
Yep.
that's not too surprising. And Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts have both actually been decent this year. This Falcons team has been bizarre because they'll beat a good team one week and then they barely lose to a team they should beat the next. It's interesting growing pains they're going through, but you can see that they clearly are improving and growing. The Dolphins are just in a literal tailspin at this point, though. It looks bad. Mike McDaniels has lost that locker room. We were both shocked when we woke up Tuesday morning and he hadn't been fired still. Like, we really thought after that game against the Browns last week, getting demolished by the Browns, that he was going to get fired. But nope, he's still there. And I think it's pretty much the same result this week. I think the Falcons are going to win this game, and I think they're going to cover that spread.
Yeah, I do think the Falcons are this team that if we were to see the Dolphins go out there and get like a convincing win, it somehow would be against the Falcons. You know, the team that allowed the Panthers this very same season to score 30 points unanswered against them.
Hmm.
So it is one of those things of where you look at this Falcons team, I can very easily see them 100% shitting the bed and losing this game. But with that being said, this Dolphins team is a mess. They're going to be trading basically anyone of worth at this point, as they should, because they're going to need a lot of picks and a lot of things to just kind of move on. So with that being said, I'm going to sit back and pick the Atlanta Falcons, and I I'm gonna pick the Falcons to cover that spread as well. 7.5 points for a team with a backup quarterback in is a tough thing to ultimately say the team is going to cover a 7.5 point spread, but the Dolphins are just that much of a mess right now. If it
Well, and it
wasn't
is
for the next team that we're going to talk about on this list, they
right.
would be the worst in the NFL
Yeah, and it is the highest paid backup quarterback in the league too. So
by a very, very wide margin.
yeah,
Our next game, which I don't know if we're considering this the toilet bowl game of the week, but it is the New York Jets, who are 0-7, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, where the Bengals are minus 6.5 point favorites.
yeah. I think if it was Jake Browning at quarterback, it would be the toilet bowl game of the week. I'm just
Yeah.
looking quickly to see if there is a worse game anywhere, and I mean, I'm not really seeing one. So this might actually be the toilet bowl of the week because I'm not
Yeah.
seeing any other terrible games. And so Jets making a change at quarterback after just crazy comments from their ownership this week, just
Dude,
totally dismantling Justin Fields. So disrespectful.
but
Like,
there's also some more news on that, where Tyrod Taylor is now out this week with a bone bruise, or a bruised bone in his knee, and so Justin Fields is now the starter again.
and he's back.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my god. That's crazy. Well, I don't think the outcome's going to be any different. Cincinnati's coming off of a big emotional win against the Steelers last Thursday night. Jamar Chase is enjoying having Joe Flacco there because Flacco will just sling it downfield for him, which is what we said they needed. Well, that's why we wanted them to go for like a Jameis Winston. Would have been the same result, just younger and maybe less fragile. But hey, it's working for them at this point. You know, he got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase both going. I see no reason why that won't continue against this Jets defense that we thought might be good, but has kind of not been great. Like, that they've held teams a bit, but the offense is just too bad. This is going to be a sloppy game, I think. It's either going to be really high scoring or it's going to be like a 7-3 final.
Yeah, I look at this and I go, I think the Bengals are gonna run away in this game. I think Joe Flacco, with his mentality of fuck it, I'm just gonna throw it to Jamar Chase, has
Hmm.
been a really good strategy where you could even see him on the bench talking with Jake Browning, and there's that meme of going like, all you have to do is just throw it to this guy and you win, and Jake Browning going, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
And yeah, Sauce Gardner's not playing this week. It's not like he's been playing that great, anyways, this season or last season in general. And so it's kind of like the Jets. They don't have Garrett Wilson in this game either. So like, what's the point really in even
Yeah.
thinking that the Jets are gonna do anything? In true New York Jets fashion, they're probably going to end up winning 2 or 3 games at some point this season and fucking themselves out of the number one pick yet again, or they're going to be so bad that they join the worst list of all because no other team has ever done it, where they lose 17 games all in one season. But yeah,
Yeah.
Bengals win this game, and I think Bengals cover this spread.
Agreed.
Next game up on our list is the Cleveland Browns taking on the New England Patriots, where the Patriots are minus 7.5 point favorites.
Yeah, and that's because the Browns also have not been able to really score points this year, and the Patriots are good again. It's weird. It's weird. Like, out of all the year two quarterbacks we were going to talk about this year, I don't think any of us thought Drake May was going to be at the top of the list for most improved thus far.
Yeah,
Like, Caleb Williams has been improved, but Drake May has been more improved at this point.
100%.
It's just so strange to see. But I mean, they've got a passing game going. They've got a run game going, even though they're not using Travion Henderson. It I'm at the point now where I'm not betting against the Patriots when they're playing a middle of the road team or a subpar team like the Browns are. The Browns should be sellers at the deadline as well. And so I expect them to try and just keep everybody as healthy as they can. No more throwing David Njoku out there to maybe get hurt and then they can't move him. I don't know. Patriots are going to win this game. I think they cover that spread as well. But, this Browns defense might be able to solve Drake May. So you never know.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels is a great offensive play caller. I think he's really helping Drake May out a ton. And it has been interesting to watch with that team. Again, I don't think they're going to do anything of significance once they get to the postseason and that stretch of time, but they're going up against the Browns this week and they're not going into the postseason. I think this team is a very, very tight unit. They have a really good defense. I still have some question marks about the offense here and there. But all in all, this is a team that is doing exactly what they need to do, going out there and winning games.
Mhm.
And the Browns beat up on the Dolphins last week. This isn't the Dolphins this week. And I think they're going to get a rude awakening. And I think Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots walk away with the win. And I think they cover that spread. Next game up here on our list is an NFC East divisional matchup where we have the New York Football Giants, after their 2 hefty fines given to them, take on the Philadelphia Eagles, where the Eagles are minus 7.5 point favorites.
Yeah, this could be the most interesting and fun matchup to watch in the 11 o'clock window tomorrow, just because the Giants have been surprising teams by being good, and the Eagles have been surprising teams by letting Nick Sirianni ruin the game. And so, which is going to win out? It's really tough to pick this game, honestly. Saquon Barkley has not been as good, and I don't know, like, we got to attribute that a little bit to Nick Sirianni and his play calling. He has to be good this week. AJ Brown is out, and so you lose one of your wide receiver targets. He finally has a big week last week, and then immediately misses the following week. And so this, I don't know, man. It's really tough to pick the Eagles, but I'm going to. I think the Giants keep it close, though. I think the Giants cover that spread.
Yeah, this is a team that right now in the New York Giants, they are so clear like they're swimming up from rock bottom. Like that's what they're doing right now. Like they're about like 5 feet off from rock bottom and they're swimming their way up. But the problem is that they're still really far down. And most of that comes down to what has been their offense. And their offense right now is still fairly one dimensional, where we're essentially just going to take the two exciting whites and allow them to ram their head into anything that they see. Again, imagine what Malik Neighbors out there would have been like with this unit. It would have been a really, really fun team to watch. And then you go over to the other side with the Eagles, where again, Sirianni's not calling the offensive plays, but he's the head coach. He needs to have this team ready and locked in. And when you are not the offensive or defensive play caller as the head coach, all your job is to make sure everyone is focused and locked in and make sure the game plan is properly set. And there's not been a single game this season where we've watched the Eagles play football where it's been like that was a 4-quarter game. The Eagles come out maybe 1 quarter a game and play football. They maybe have like one series a quarter and then take the rest of it off. It is so frustrating watching this team because they are without a doubt the best roster in football. They are just simply not playing like it. And as someone who doesn't like the Eagles personally, but likes a lot of the players that are on the Eagles, it is insanely frustrating to watch this. I could very easily see the Giants winning this game, but like yourself, I can't pick the Giants yet because they 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 just they just don't have it yet. And like the Eagles, man, like they are just going to find a way to fuck it up just enough to the point where it's like, man, we ended up walking away with a win that one, to guys. And so, like yourself, I'm picking the Eagles to win, and I'm taking the Giants to cover that spread. Next game up here on our list is the Buffalo Bills taking on the Carolina Panthers, where the Bills are minus 7.5 point favorites. A lot of 6 and 7.5 point favorites so far this week.
Yeah, not too many extremes on either side of it at this point, but if ever there was a get right game on the schedule that was like a prototype for get right, this is it. You're going up against a team in the Panthers that I don't think anybody would disagree are sitting with a surprising record at this point at 4-3. I don't think anybody thought week 7 they'd be above 500. And you got the Bills who've, after a hot start, dropped 2 in a row and are now in second place in their division behind the Patriots. They're now looking up at a team and having to actually chase. And so this is a key game for them. They can't be risking and dropping anymore. And there's question marks around Joe Brady right now and some of his decision making at the end of games, keeping James Cook on the sideline, things like that. So you got to hope the Bills have everything locked in right now, coming off a bye week as well. So they should be able to be focused, healthy, rested. I expect to see Josh Allen go off this game, if I'm being honest with you. He's going to look at this and go, if you guys aren't going to step up, I'm going to run for 90 yards myself and 2 touchdowns, and we're going to win this game. And I do think we see the Bills win this game. They got to figure something out at wide receiver, though, because, outside of Khalil Shakir, it's tight ends and running backs. Keon Coleman has not been as impressive as a lot of us, I think, were expecting this year. And I would not be shocked to see the Bills make a move at the deadline to bring in another wide receiver to fill that void. For now, though, I think they get themselves right. They get themselves a win against the Panthers, and they cover that spread.
Yeah, I think going into this game, Bryce Young is not going to be playing quarterback for the Panthers this week as he is battling with some knee injuries, I'm pretty sure the report is. But with that being said, Bryce Young out there, Bryce Young in there, I don't think it really makes a difference. I think the Bills are going to walk into this game with full confidence going into Carolina saying, we are not going to, like, we're coming in to bully you. And we're going to show the world that you are the Carolina Panthers and we are the Buffalo Bills, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. I think this is going to be a bad game for the Panthers. Their defense is still pretty terrible. And I think the Bills walk in there full of confidence and kind of this mentality of, you know what, we need this win more than you need this win. And I think they just demolished the Panthers. And so yeah, I'm picking Bills to win and easily cover that spread. Next game up here on the list is the Chicago Bears going into Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who don't have Lamar Jackson. But here at the moment, the Baltimore Ravens have a -2.5 point our advantage on the spread,
Yep.
or 2.5
Yeah,
point
and that's
favorites.
probably just based on being a home game.
Yeah.
It is tough to go into Baltimore and win. And I had Baltimore selected to win this game while there were chances of Lamar Jackson playing. If Lamar Jackson's in, then this is a very different team. This morning they announced, nope, it's Cooper Rush again. And with Cooper Rush in there, that does not inspire confidence for this team. I, man, I don't know what is wrong with this Baltimore Ravens team, but everybody's saying Derrick Henry was the reason that Lamar Jackson looked good. That's just not the case, because without Lamar Jackson, this team cannot win to save their lives. And up against the Bears, who have an improved defense, yes, they're missing some pieces in the secondary, but their cornerbacks coach and Dennis Allen have done a great job this year at preparing this team and really having that next man up mentality and still being able to get the job done week in and week out. And I think we see that again. Cooper Rush, I expect him to turn the ball over. And the Bears offense under Ben Johnson has looked better each week. Every week it's better and better. They make fewer mistakes. The run game's finally getting going with a duo of DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. And I don't know. The Bears are trending upwards right now, and I don't see any reason to bet against them at this point with no Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. I think the Bears go in and they steal a win away from Baltimore in Baltimore.
Yeah, this was a game that I have flipped back and forth on throughout the week numerous amounts of times because, again, just the conflicting reports that you're hearing. I did want the Bears to go up against Lamar Jackson this week. I did.
Yeah.
And as I told you at work, I said, to me, this is a great benchmark game because you're going up against one of those S tier quarterbacks, and when he's in for his team, they're an S tier team. Like they do exactly what they need to do. And I wanted to see the Bears and how they matched up to that. However, with that being stated, I also said I would also love it to be a 5 game win streak and just to continue off this good momentum because the Bears' back half of the schedule, like their next couple of weeks, are very, very important for them because they could very easily end the season off 1-6, like their last 7 games of the year, because that's how tough that schedule is going to be in that back part of the year. So I need to see them get as many wins as they possibly can. And if Lamar Jackson isn't there, it's going to be much easier for the Bears because now it's really, we just have to defend Derrick Henry, which is not an easy task to say, well, we just needed to defend Derrick Henry. But it's not Derrick Henry at his best. Like this has been a guy that has been very easily beaten so far this season. And the Bears do have some injuries on in the secondary, which gives me some concern. Like Kyler Gordon goes back onto IR. Kyler Gordon out there for the Bears defense is, I think he is the motor that makes this defense run and hum properly. Tyreek Stevenson is out for this week, so you have your 3 top corners in Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon all out. But you have talked about that next man up mentality. The Bears do have a really good secondary room, and the offense is improving. I need to see Caleb be a little bit better this week. And you know what? I think after that short week against Washington, everyone kind of just needed to take maybe a little bit of a reset, and hopefully this week was a little bit more different. And the last time that we saw Caleb Williams go up against one of the worst defenses in the NFL this season, we saw what happened. 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, looked spectacular, and I have no reason to think otherwise. And so that's why I'm picking the Bears. I'm picking the Bears. I hate it. I hate it because this team is just going to find another way to disappoint me in all these moments yet again. And so I'm going to be sitting back watching this game fully expecting to lose, but I'm picking the Bears to win. That's what this team has done to me, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
San Francisco 49ers take on the Houston Texans, where the Houston Texans are minus 1.5 point favorites.
Yeah, a little bit strange. I mean, the Texans have been looking better, but that O-line, it's still rough. Luckily, they're going up against the 49ers team, whose defense is kind of in the same boat, where it's been beat up, it's been battered. It's, you don't have Bosa for the rest of the year. I don't know. This feels like it could be a bit of a trap for San Francisco. Because I think they're looking at this going, this should be an easy win, but it really depends on how quickly they can get the ball out. CJ Stroud can get that ball to Nico Collins. They might be able to. I mean, I know they're favorited, but I would still consider it an upset to beat the 49ers right now with how bad this Texans team started the year. But I'm taking the 49ers to win because, honestly, Kyle Shanahan, he's finding ways to get it done. It doesn't matter if it's Brock Purdy or if it's Mac Jones. And Christian McCaffrey is back having an MVP level season again. And so that alone, yeah, you're going up against one of the best defenses. That's going to be the most fun part to watch about this is Christian McCaffrey up against a phenomenal defense. And the scary part is there's parts of this defense that don't play very clean. The last 2 years, they've been throwing some bad hits. They've been hitting guys high. They've been going after knees. They've been causing some injuries. So that is definitely concerning. Can CMC come through this game still intact? I hope so, because it's fun to watch him play. I'm going to pick the 49ers to win this game and obviously cover that spread since the Texans are the favorites.
Yeah, I initially gave that face of when I was reading off the spread because I was a little bit shocked that the Texans were favored in this game. Yeah, sure, the Texans are at home, have a really good defense, but the problem here it has always been with that Texans O line, where if you start to bring some level of pressure against CJ Stroud, he starts to diminish heavily as a quarterback. Like any quarterback in this league, if you're being pressured a ton during the game, it's hard to do much of anything at any point throughout the game. And the 49ers haven't looked great on defense this year. Again, they've battled a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball. Again, Christian McCaffrey is literally just sucking the life force energy out of both teams, or all of the teams on the 49ers offense, defense, and special teams. Just saying, like, I need, or it's either that or Kyle Shanahan or is using black magic to take all the injuries that Christian McCaffrey would have had and given it to other 49ers players. But with that being said, we haven't seen Brock Purdy in a little bit, but Mac Jones looks exactly like what we thought Brock Purdy would look like. And so they're not really missing a beat. And when Christian McCaffrey has a quarterback that is doing what needs to be done, they typically win these games. I think this is going to be a close game, but I do think the 49ers are going to be able to pull away with it. Next game up here on our list is an NFC South divisional matchup where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the New Orleans Saints, where the Bucs are minus 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah, the Bucks are going through it right now. I think the entire NFL world was sad to see Mike Evans go down with that concussion last week, done for the year, ends his opportunity to break Jerry Rice's record for, most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. So now he still holds that record in a tie with Jerry Rice, but just sad to see, unfortunately. Yep. Aside from that, I think the Bucks are going to come into this game a little bit pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
They got beat by the refs last week. I mean, the Lions last week. And it was not very convincing to me that the Lions were the better team. I still look at this and I go, we see this matchup again in the playoffs. I'm probably picking the Buccaneers to win this game, especially if they go out at the deadline and they find a replacement for Mike Evans to play opposite of Emeka Egbuka. We've seen Cade Otton starting to finally come on a little bit. Bucky Irving at some point may still come back, but even without that, Rashad White, he's playing like we kept saying he needed to play, so he didn't get replaced. And Bucky Irving goes down and he comes in and he's like, yeah, actually, I can do all these things. I just wasn't because I didn't feel like it. I don't know. Bucks are going to just destroy the Saints, I think. This is one of those division games where we talk about how they're usually close. It's usually, hard fought. It's going to be hard fought, but it's really just going to be the Buccaneers beating down on an already unconscious opponent. And it's going to be ugly, I think. I think the Bucks win this, and I think they win it by the end of the first quarter, honestly.
Yeah, I expect this to be a really heavy Emeka Ibuka game. Again, Baker Mayfield was asked if he had a worse performance than he did last Sunday or whatever game they ended up playing, whether it was Monday night, whatever. And he gave quite the answer.
Mhm.
He basically just said, there was a night where I was in a Circle K and there was this old leathery man in Florida doing individual purchases for all of his things, and all I was trying to do was buy a Gatorade, so that was pretty bad night. Baker Mayfield is endlessly entertaining, and I think
Right?
that's why everyone likes the Buccaneers so badly. But yeah, he is going to go out there and play a much better game. I think he's going to kind of walk out there and say, you know what? This is going to be kind of one of those games where it's like, okay, people are starting to get a little bit quieter on me about this MVP conversation. Let's reawaken this with like a 6 touchdown or passing touchdown game, like 325 yards against the Saints, and just basically whip his wiener out on the table and go, "Hi everyone." And so yeah, Bucks win this game, and I think they cover it pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
Dallas Cowboys take on the Denver Donkey Broncos, where the Broncos are -3.5 point favorites at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's in Denver. And, I'm getting similar vibes this season from Denver as when we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't show up for 4 quarters. But then when they do,
They're really
they
good.
score an immense amount of points. All of a sudden, Bo Nix looks like John Elway in his prime all of a sudden. It's I don't get it. Like some of these teams, if they would just play a full game, we would easily be determining who the best teams in the league are. The Broncos have the talent level to be that, but they keep beating themselves. And the Cowboys, it's the Cowboys, man. Like they find ways to lose. Jerry Jones finds ways to fuck shit up. Granted, George Pickens has been impressive there. I'm still waiting for the crash out. I'm sure it's coming. Javonte Williams has probably been the most impressive part of this team. And let me tell you, he's going to be a sought after running back next year if the Cowboys decide that they want to go after a running back in the draft all of a sudden and let him leave or trade him away. He's going to be very coveted because he has looked phenomenal. And without him, I think the Cowboys maybe have one win this year without Javonte Williams playing since they lost CeeDee Lamb for that stretch. CeeDee Lamb's back. George Pickens is there. Tight end day on Sunday. I think Jake Ferguson will have a big day, but it's hard to go into Mile High and play. And so I think the Broncos win this game. I think it's going to be very tight, though. What did you say that spread was? 3.5?
3.5.
3.5? I think the Cowboys cover that spread. I think the Broncos win, but they win it by 1 or 2.
Yeah, this is a game where I could see either team ultimately coming away with a win, which is really weird and awkward to say because the Cowboys are a team that I just look at and go like, this is a bad team, but the offense has been playing great. Again, Dak Prescott looks phenomenal again this year. Javonte Williams, like you're saying, has had a decent season. Like he's played well. You also talk about George Pickens. When CeeDee Lamb went down, George Pickens kind of stepped up into that number one receiver role where there was a few of us that were making the joke like, man, the Steelers should really trade for this guy. Like, and just
Mhm.
making fun of you and type stuff. But
Yep.
it's, he's looked good. CeeDee Lamb looked spectacular last week.
Yeah.
And Dalton Schultz, their tight end. looked great as well. Like he has been a phenomenal player. And Brian Schottenheimer, I think we should give him maybe a little bit of an apology of basically just saying this was like a nothing hire. He has that offense humming.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that he hired Matt Eberflus and has Jerry Jones as the owner because they might actually be something.
Yep.
But I do think the Broncos will come away with the win here this week. I just think going into Denver, it's tough to play there. Again, that altitude, we're in a place with similar amount of altitude, so we know how that can kind of affect things. But yeah, I just think honestly the problem with the Broncos this year has kind of been Sean Payton.
Yeah.
And so if Sean Payton can pull his head out of his ass for the game, the Broncos should easily walk away with this victory. But yeah, I'm picking the Broncos, and I am going to pick the Broncos to cover this spread.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Sean Payton's living in the past. It's like he thinks he's still got Drew Brees as his quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the problem I see. And then he realizes, oh, wait, this guy plays different. Lets him play his game, and then they start going off.
Yeah. Next game up here is the Tennessee Titans go into Indianapolis to get beat up by the Colts, where the Colts are minus 14.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I knew this one had to be a double digit. 14.5 is pretty hefty, but the Titans suck. We've joked about it for 3 weeks now, where Cam Ward said it best. They ass. And
We
they
ass.
still ass. Yeah. And so the Colts, I mean, honestly, an argument can be made for Jonathan Taylor being up there in the talks for MVP this year. I know
Should
running
be.
backs never win it, but we've talked about it in the past where it was Saquon Barkley, where it was CMC. It's Jonathan Taylor this year, and he is just lights
Monster.
out. And I think that's what's making it so easy for Daniel Jones to look good, because you can just go, oh, I had a bad series there. I'm just going to hand it to Jonathan Taylor, let all the defense start creeping up, and then I can start throwing the deep balls again. And so I see no reason for anybody to even consider the Titans winning this game. The spread is quite large. That is a tough one for me. But we've seen the Colts put up a lot of points several times this year. I think the Colts are going to do the same here. I think they win. And even though we rarely pick double-digit spreads, I think the Colts are going to cover that spread too.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was going to say after announcing the spread was the spread feels a little low, honestly.
Yeah.
And I feel insane for saying that. A 14.5-point spread feels low because the Colts offense have been able to score points at will at any given moment, doing basically whatever they want. While the Titans, they don't know how to score points. That team is anti-scoring points. Like, you have anti-vaxxers, the Titans are anti-scoring points. That is what we are seeing from this Titans team. And it's not Cam Ward's fault. He's doing everything he possibly can. He literally has nothing. The fact that Tony Pollard is the only weapon, and Tony Pollard is hot garbage for most of his career, should tell you they have nothing. And with that being said, if this game had the spread of minus 20.5 points, I would still be taking the Colts to cover that spread. Because like, this is a Colts team that has proven that they can go out there and score 30 on most, if not all, defenses. And the Titans can't score points. So the Colts win. They're easily covering that spread. And it feels so weird to say that a 14.5-point spread is low.
Yeah.
Well, now moving over to Sunday Night Football, which is a game I know you are going to be locked in on because it is the Green Bay Packers coming in to face off against your Pittsburgh Steelers, where Green Bay is minus 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, it is the rematch or I guess the revenge match, I don't know what you want to call it, that the NFL has been waiting to be able to schedule since Aaron Rodgers left Green Bay.
Yes.
It is Aaron Rodgers' first time playing against the Green Bay Packers since he left. in Pittsburgh. You know, I was spouting stats at you a lot this week, as I do. The Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since 1970. But man, these jerseys are ugly that the Steelers are going to be wearing. I don't like this. Even Aaron Rodgers was like, "Can we not?" Like Aaron Rodgers is expecting to have a big day, and he's like, "People are going to be showing these highlights for years, and I'm going to be wearing this garbage ass uniform." Like, come on. And I agree. I would have rather them go to like those solid black, back when they were doing the color rush days, those blackout uniforms. That would be nice. It's going to be interesting. Is Aaron Rodgers going to win, or is Micah Parsons going to be able to hit him enough that he can't get anything done? That's the real question. The Steelers' O-line has been improving. Troy Fatanu has been out there doing great things. I'm concerned because Zach Frazier did not practice a lot this week. I haven't checked the injury report today to see if he's fully out or if he's going to play. So that's a concern. But I don't know, man. The Steelers' defense has not been great. The Packers' offense has been They only barely beat the Cardinals last week, but then the Steelers went and lost to the Bengals in a shootout. And so at least the Steelers can score points. That's the promising point. We finally have an offense that can move the ball, but apparently we have a highest paid Swiss cheese defense. I don't know what is going on with this D. I hope the 10-day rest help them get some of those things right, because if this defense comes out as flat as they were against the Bengals, then the Steelers might just lose this game. But you know me, I'm a fanboy. I'm not picking against them, especially in prime time. Mike Tomlin does very well in prime time. He does
Except on
very
Thursday.
badly on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
That's the issue. He does not win Thursday night. It's not in his playbook. I don't know. Sunday night is a different story. I think the Steelers win this game and obviously cover that spread because they are underdogs at home, which oftentimes pisses this team off.
Yeah. This is quite the interesting pick for me because I have been a very big anti-Steelers person this season. I don't think that's been a stretch. I've given the Steelers their flowers when they deserve it, and they have been playing better. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt against the Bengals, as much as I know you were sitting back going like no 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 no.
Don't do it.
I was giving the Steelers the benefit of the doubt. I also hate the Packers so dramatically. I think the Packers are overrated as hell coming into this season. Micah Parsons is doing great. The rest of that defense is hot ass. Jordan Love has been just nothing more than okay. He's been fine. He hasn't been an MVP player. Matthew Golden has come in, and he actually does look like he could be the number one receiver for this team, which, I mean, is fine. But I think Aaron Rodgers, he's looked more like the Aaron Rodgers of old this season with the Steelers than he did last season with the Jets, or in the 4 plays with the Jets that he had. It's one of those things where I look at this and I go, I think Tomlin is going to essentially try to sell this game out, that the Steelers, like, honestly, I could see Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers going in and basically saying, if this is the only game we win for the rest of the year, we're cool with that. And I think again, I know Tomlin's probably not going to be saying that, but it's definitely Aaron Rodgers coming in. If we win only one more game this season, this is going to be it. And I think this Steelers black magic is going to come out, and it's going to be Aaron Rodgers looking at his former team like he did with the Jets in week 1 and saying, this is what you gave up on.
Yeah.
And I think the Steelers are going to win this game.
Yeah. No, and I said it to you this week. Like this game, it is make or break for this season. If they somehow lose this game, it is full on downward spiral from here. And even though they'll still be at the top of their division, I don't see any way they win this division if they drop this game. It's going to be interesting. And with how bad the defense has been playing, it wouldn't surprise me to see Mike Tomlin going, you have 4 downs anytime you get past our own 40-yard line.
Yeah.
We are not punting the ball back to them because our defense has not been able to get it done.
Yeah.
And so if you're on 4th and 3, get ready to throw a slant to DK Metcalf, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But our final game of the week, and this is a Monday night game where we get to see the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead taking on the Commanders, where the Chiefs are minus 11.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and I mean, there's good reason for that. The Chiefs got Rashee Rice back last week and immediately
But fucked the Raiders.
Well, they immediately looked like they were going to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they looked so good. And that is scary to think of. And then on the other side of it, the Commanders lost Jaden Daniels again. So it's Marcus Mariota at quarterback. As far as I know, Deebo Samuel's still out with his heel injury. Terry McLaurin may be coming back on Monday. If I'm the Commanders, though...
What's the point?
Well, exactly. Rest him another week or two. Take your lumps this week on Monday Night Football and reset next week. Chiefs win this game. I think they cover that spread as well, because I mean, I've got them winning by like 15 points or so. So yeah, like that, the Chiefs win. The Chiefs cover this spread.
Yeah, the Commanders these last 2 weeks have plain and simply looked bad. Like, they have not looked good. It almost feels like that loss to the Bears 2 weeks ago has kind of been this dismantling of this team, similar to, I'm not going to say similar to what happened to the Bears last year, because that was dramatic, but it is kind of one of those things where you just kind of sit back and watch the Commanders. You just go like, they just don't have it. With the Chiefs getting Rice back, that was like, of course it had to be against the Raiders. They get him back, where it's just like, hey, everybody, do you want to see our shiny new toy that's really, really good? Well, guess what? We're going to do it against one of the worst defenses in football, and we're going to show everyone that we're going right back to the Super Bowl. Good luck, everybody else. Have fun. And, well, they get to go up against another really bad defense. So, Chiefs win, cover that spread. Enough said. Like, it's the Commanders, they're on this downward spiral where they just, again, we said it a bunch last year. They were on this miracle season where they were 2 years ahead of what they should have been. And I know a buddy of ours at work, we've been saying to him, it's like, I know you've been saying they need 2 really good drafts before they can become a really good team. But even then, I sit back and I go, I don't even think just this draft is going to set them up. I think they need 2 or 3 more before they really get to that point. But yep, I think Kansas City Chiefs ultimately walk away with that. And that is it for our game predictions for week number 8. For Sterling, I'm Brendon saying thank you all very much for watching. Peace.